Yes. So I am really excited, and I know that's my top word, but I'm always that excited, and I'm especially excited because I have the very privilege and honor of having Julie Turney on SuperWomenCan podcast, and she is amazing. And I'm not going to say she's just amazing because of course she is. She's a super woman, of course she is, but she keeps smashing those doors. And I want to remind you where you are. This is the SuperWomenCan podcast, and we are all about elevating women of color to truly shine in their path, to push past every narrative that says that we can't, because we can, and making sure that you can have more of everything that you want, reach all your highest heights and your highest dreams, have more time with your family, more time at home, more achievements of your dreams, more money in the bank, and that is by being your version of success and whatever that means to you. And Julie is going to show you what that means for her, and she's going to inspire you to rocket your own life. Get ready, put your seatbelts on, because you're going to get ready for liftoff. So Julie, tell me, just introduce yourself, because I hate to steal your thunder.
Oh my gosh. Oh, hi everyone. My name is Julie Turney. It is an absolute honor to be here, Samantha. I'm so happy to be here. I am an HR for HR coach. So I specifically work with and support HR professionals who are struggling with burnout, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, and just trying to navigate their HR careers. I am also a speaker. I'm a podcast host. I am an author, and I love to work in the L&D space on all things HR. And I'm also a host. That is me in a nutshell. I am from Manchester, UK. I was born and bred in St. Mary's Hospital.
That's where I was from.
Yes, but I live in Barbados right now, and my parents are Barbadian and Jamaican descent, Windrush generation, and my family has a legacy that I really want to make sure that I honor my grandparents, my great grandparents, and all the hard work that they did to get me where I am today, because I'm riding on their shoulders.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for that introduction. She didn't mention that she's also been on TEDx.
Yes.
We'll talk a bit about that. She's been on TEDx. She's a mother. She's from Manchester, so of course, you know, the Manchester girls.
Yeah.
And she's on fire. Like, I'm a HR professional. So I know one of the things that we are advocates to make sure people have well-being, look after everyone. We're constantly the ones that look after everyone. Honestly, that even translates into our homes. So to have a business like yours that just puts their arms around HR, and you call it HR for HR, that name, and it is exactly that. You're putting your arms around individuals and giving them what they need, which is brilliant. Now, I know for you to get to this point where you're successful, you have your own company, you are everywhere. Like, she's living in Barbados. Only the other day, she was with the CIPD doing a huge event with Peter Cheese. And before she even came to that, she was like, oh, I'm just finishing off my TEDx talk. Very, very calm and relaxed as she is. I was like, she doesn't fluff it up at all, but honestly, she is on fire. So tell me, I know that to get where you are, you've come through a lot of setbacks, and can you tell triumphs and victories? Tell us about them. Tell us what's made you so successful.
Perseverance, I think, number one. I don't take myself seriously, and I'm okay with failure. I'm happy to embrace failing. So my journey has been one of lots of no's, lots of passovers, lots of ignoring, and I've been okay with that, because through that I have had the opportunity and the privilege to have the experiences that I'm living and breathing and experiencing now. I think a lot of times, especially because coming from the Caribbean, I think people have a certain mindset about people from the Caribbean. And so sometimes that can be a bit of a blocker. But I just push through those things because I let my work speak for itself. I let what I do speak for itself. I let my content speak for itself. And then with that, I've had the opportunity to have people reach out to me. Like now I'm in this place, which almost feels very weird to me because of the struggle that I've had, to now be in a space where people just come to me. Like I very seldom have to find people or find clients or find business. It comes to me. And that for me is I feel very honored and blessed that I'm in this space now, but it didn't come without years of being ignored, years of getting no's, so not just months, years. I've been on this journey since 2012, basically. And so I'm at the stage now where what you're seeing now is years and years of work that is now
I love this word that you hear. She's an overnight success. And you're like, yeah, it only took me 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. Took me a good while to get here. And it's not something that I take for granted. And it doesn't go unnoticed on me when people do stop, when people do make queries, when people do business with me. It doesn't go unnoticed on me how they found me and what they appreciate about what I do.
Oh, fabulous. And I really, I believe that those failures, those negatives, those setbacks are what really sets you up for success, because it gives you, like you said, the resilience, the want to push past all these different things, because you know that in the end you will arrive. Is there something I know you're saying resilience, but do you have a personal story that you can pinpoint that kind of helps to remind you of where you're going and where you should,
how much time do we have?
I'll be here as long as you need me to, girl.
I think very early in this journey, and this story may seem a little strange, but it really does keep me grounded and remind me of where I am, where I started, where I am now, and I don't ever forget where I came from. I always remember, so let me do this in two parts. First of all, when I got to the stage where I was getting the recognition and I was being invited to speak and do different things, I was still working in my corporate job. And I remember my CEO telling someone else on the leadership team that I was too big for my boots and I had to go.
Wow.
And the person actually came and told me that. And I thought to myself, wow, because at the end of the day, whatever I was doing and however I was speaking was about HR. I wasn't talking about the work, the organization, or anything like that. And it just it fixed in my mind that no matter what organization you work for, even if you work in an organization where people are okay with you doing stuff on the side, that depending on how you grow, if it's bigger than the CEO, there can be challenges. If you have a CEO who supports you, that's fine, all fine and well. But I find that it doesn't happen with us as women of color, that we get CEOs that will support us when we start to move in certain circles and move in certain spaces. They generally resent that for us as Black people, because like, how dare you? It almost feels like, how dare you? And that's how it felt to me, because my CEO was a white man. So it was almost like, how dare you? And I remember when they laid me off, and they tried to pass it off as though they were relocating the business and they were relocating the role, and they knew that I wouldn't want to move because Barbados is my home. This is where my family is. So they thought it better to lay me off. And I was like, okay, fine, no problem. Layoff means I get money, so I'm not worried. And it just meant all the more for me to now start to do the things that I really wanted to do. But this is the part of the story that I'm talking about that might seem a little weird. My CEO then turned around and got some guys in the office to hack my LinkedIn account and cancel it.
What?
He got some people in the organization to hack my LinkedIn account and cancel it, take it over, and say my LinkedIn account is tied to the organization. So anything that I have built, any community, anything that I have built belongs to the company. Excuse me, sir. No. And because mind blowing, right? Yep. The man hacked my LinkedIn account and he had it hijacked for about 4 hours, because then I had someone from the organization, because when you're a good HR person and you work well with people, will work with you. Yeah. Someone called me and said, Julie, check your LinkedIn account. Funny enough, I was actually on a call with a client going through their LinkedIn account, and I realized I couldn't get in. I couldn't log back in. And I was trying to log in, and I could not log in. And LinkedIn is where my business is. And for a moment, my heart sank. But then someone called me and said, Julie, check your LinkedIn account. And I was like, I'm on it right now and I can't get in. And he was like, the boss hacked your LinkedIn account.
How is
I just thought, first I thought to myself, how childish. This was a serious defeat for me. I could not believe that someone could stoop so low. And then the employee then sought to help me, guided me on how to get my LinkedIn account back. It took me 4 hours, sending them my passport information, sending them my ID card, and also my blood type. It felt like I had to get, you know what I mean? But then I got back my LinkedIn account.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, it's been such a crazy journey. And that has been a part that just made me know it's not for you. And if you get to a stage in an organization where you are more recognized than the CEO or the leadership, be careful. Be careful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I thought Samantha is
speechless.
Never really lost for words.
Aren't you, Samantha?
Like, never lost for words. I'm just literally just trying to formulate. I have some real choice words to make, which is not appropriate on here.
No, let's keep it PG.
I believe in Jesus. I just think that is just not on. I think that is just not acceptable. It's not called for. And it just goes to show, like you said, you're too big for your boots. Clearly that you were designed for those boots, because you wouldn't have thought you needed to do that. Yeah. It's clear as day. Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to get the support of people. Very similar situation, not quite the same, but when I was coming back from maternity leave, it reminds me of something that's just, came back from maternity leave, new manager, someone that didn't know me. She was actually a white woman. And I came back into work. One of the first things she said is, I was on a kit day with my daughter in London. So you know how far Manchester to London is? 2.5 hours. I'd traveled there. She said, yeah, come. And then I was like, oh, she went, come into this office. She didn't know me, but she wasn't very nice. She brought me into the office and I was like, where should I put my daughter, Eliana? Yeah. Can you just leave her outside? Like, she was a handbag. I was like, what do you mean? I'm confused.
Hang her up on the coat rack.
Yeah, luckily I was quite close to some of my colleagues and they were like, we'll entertain her. But that was so inappropriate. That was the beginning.
Yes.
The end, because in the meeting she was like, I'll just cut to the chase. And we know in HR there's a script and all that. She's like, cut to the chase, you'd be made redundant. Literally, that was it. I would have preferred the script so I could work it out in my mind. And basically, I was like, why? She was like, oh, you're in Manchester, it's all centralized in London. And I was like, so is there a structural change? Has anyone else been affected? No, just you. And I was like, the only Black woman and the only one that's had a child, and you're making me redundant. And I was a very good performer. It didn't make any sense to me. And then I was like devastated, obviously crying, and I was miles away from home, no family, no one to turn to, no one to talk to other than on the phone. And I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy the day, which is doing what I always do. And I went and connected with other people because of that, because I already had a great network of people. They were like, you're in London? No. And before I left the building, I had 5 potential offers and with recommendations. So all I had to do was go for the interviews and be recommended for those roles. So that was that is just showing you how well received I'd been. And for this lady who never even got the chance to know me, what a shame, really.
It's her loss.
That. Yeah, it was her loss. Exactly that. It was that individual's loss, really. Could have been an advocate for leaving the company and saying great things, but instead it's not a nice thing to be able to have. Look at you now and look what that's made you where you are, and it's so inspirational that you have just triumphed through that and not put that as something that I'm not gonna do anymore. So my next question, if I can, because honestly that kind of blew my mind, that one. It's just like get back on track, because so because we do, as Black women, we do go through the more than average, let's just face it, more than average, beyond more than average situations. What advice, I know that you're also a mother and I know that you're successful, but what advice would you give for women who are going through things in the workplace or have made a decision they want to leave, and actually it's become more of a hassle than they expected? What advice would you say to continue to triumph through all this?
So I would say, if you're a religious person, just keep trusting in God. It all works out in the end, one way or the other. So for me, I had written my resignation letter and dated it December before the office closed. So I already knew I was leaving. In 2019, I knew I was going. And I wrote that resignation letter and I just said, God, this is it's in your hands. I'd heard voices in my head for months prior to that, kept saying, every morning I wake up, I go in this toxic place. And I just think to myself, and I would hear this voice like, why are you here? This is not your purpose. You are not supposed to be here.
Wow.
And every morning for months, I heard that voice until I wrote that resignation letter and I dated it, because then I made the commitment. So I always encourage my clients, if you know enough is enough and you can't take this anymore, start to make your exit strategy and start with writing your resignation letter. To just say, look, I'm out of here. Like, that gives your mind closure that you've made the decision that you're going to be out of there. And then start to strategically look for where you want to go. What are the top 3 organizations that you'd love to work with, and why do you want to work with them? What are the things about HR that you really love and do and want to do and see yourself grow and thrive in those spaces, in that particular function? That's moving with purpose. But I know a lot of times we lose our job and we go, oh, I've got kids to feed, I've got mortgage to pay, I've got food to put on the table, I've got extended family that I'm taking care of. And so a lot of times we get in the state of fight or flight, and we panic and we go, we just need a job, we just need a job. But if you really take the time and just say to yourself, look, if I slow this down just for a minute, what are my options? Can I get unemployment benefits and ride that out for a little bit? Do I have savings and can I ride that out for a little bit? And then just be strategic and make really good choices about how you're going to move forward. Because sometimes when we leave in desperation, sometimes we jump out of the frying pan into the fire. So it's better to be strategic and create your exit strategy, but also create a strategy to move forward. But trust in God and have a plan.
Yeah, that is such great advice. Thank you for sharing that. I really believe that having a plan, what the saying goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. And I think even if you're making a plan to leave the workplace that you're in, I really believe that you do still need to have an exit plan, your own exit plan, know where you're going and why you are going. I always say that even about relationships, have your exit plan. Like
exit strategy. Oh yes, for everything. Always have a plan B. Always have we as women always should have a plan B. Because trust and believe. Like, my mom raised me my mom is Barbadian and my dad is Jamaican, but my parents raised me and one of the things that they always said to me is, Julie, you always gotta have vex money. And I'd be like, what is this vex money thing? If you have going out with a guy and something happens and he's driving, you get part of it. How are you getting home?
That sounds like my mom.
Call your dad.
She's never called it vex money, but that's hilarious. I understand what
have your vex money, man. And I've grown up throughout my life, I have a vex account. I've got
I love that. I actually love it. But yeah, my parents didn't call it vex money, but they definitely said make sure you always have your exit money. So
yeah, always.
they're like exit money, that's not right. It's
Yeah.
life, you never know. But
You
that's so
never
true.
know.
And it's the same. And I really believe if you use that principle, having a bit of a think about it,
Mhm.
even in your workplaces, one thing that stands us out as well is the fact that we have lack of resources, and we can't go from one month to the next. So if we lose our job today, we may not be able to pay our rent, our mortgage, our childcare, whatever it may be. And what you've just said is so crucial, because what we do need to make sure we do is that we put some money aside for those rainy days, or redundancy, or anything can happen that we haven't planned for. Definitely make sure that I think it says to try and, I might be wrong here, but I think it's 9 months. I might be just like over cautious.
In terms of saving?
Yeah, savings.
Oh,
saving, I think it's
I go by the rule of thumb that Steve Harvey gave, which is at least a year.
At least a year, even
At least a year.
there you go.
Yeah.
At
If
least
you can have at least a year down. Yeah.
So if you haven't already got that, this is your key. This is like literally like if you're thinking about it and you're like, it's something I've been on my mind, then do get it ready. Just I'm guessing you because you've got a vex. You've got your vex plan. How do you kind of start putting that aside? What strategies do you have to give advice to actually keep your vex plan?
So I started with a small amount of savings, and then I invest. So I take that money and I invest it, and then when I get the return on my investment, I just save it. So I don't and that one account, I don't touch that card at all. It doesn't even sit in my purse. It's somewhere else. You know what I mean? Right. And that's just how and then so I have like additional savings, and I always just make sure I take this particular amount. Let's say it was like $200, and I put $200 aside in that account every month. And then if there are investments that look appealing to me, I will make the investment, and then I will take that money out, and now I have someone who takes care of that for me, because I think that it's important to make sure that we create legacy and we create good practices for our children around being smart with our money. I wish I'd known it sooner, but I didn't. My parents didn't teach you. Parents didn't teach you about this kind of things. They just taught you save money. You must have something for a rainy day. But they never really taught you about investing and smart ways to duplicate your funds. And so I'm glad that I do have a financial advisor who does do those things for me. So once you can get a financial advisor, make sure you get one, and just don't ever touch that money if you don't need to.
And yeah, I definitely agree. LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic for finding out hints and tips in terms of how you can do it for free. When you're really starting out, I would definitely agree, just go on to YouTube. Go on to YouTube.
One plug, and I'm not getting paid to plug this guy, but there's a guy on YouTube called Stunner Breezy, and I follow him. Absolutely amazing. I've learned so much from him.
We'll definitely add it into the comment section, so you can click on to that link so you can find that individual. And unfortunately, it's one of those things, your parents can only teach you what they know. They don't know what they don't know. And we're now in the generation, which is amazing, because we now got more wisdom, more knowledge, and more power. And we have to use that to the best of our advantage. We've got our next generation, like really literally depends on us making those steps. Wise. So please do take the opportunity, even just if you're not ready, just listen to go on to these podcasts, these experts, and just listen, and it'll spark something in you to make those little decisions. And it can start small. The other day, like last year, what I did is I had a bottle. It was only a little skinny little wine bottle thing that you can put money and save little pounds in there. And I literally was like, instead of me for my birthday, I wanted to be able to have a nice birthday, but I didn't want to have to use the money that I've already got. So I decided that for the whole year, it was in this bottle. That was going to be how good my birthday was. And I don't know what it is. The moment I said, this is how good my birthday will be, is the money that I put in this bottle. Every time I got money, boom, I smashed that bottle. And I can't remember exactly what was in there, but it was like £400-500 in a year.
Wow.
just lose change. It was just
Yeah.
literally just here, yeah, I've got a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
and it's gonna. I didn't even expect. And I think in my purse, I've actually still got 30. For some reason, I've got euros in there. So I don't know if that was when I went away or something. But I'm just saying that opportunity is there.
Yeah.
Loose change.
Yeah.
Loose
Oh,
change.
yes.
You can start with loose change.
Oh, yes.
So please do.
Definitely.
And even if you start with that little bottle idea, me, that was like my incentive. If I know I
Oh,
can
yeah.
continue to do
Is
things and greater things.
Yes. I actually have a rule of thumb, which is that I give myself an allowance every week of $50. And that's just for me, like whether it's whatever I spend it on, whether it's bread or gas or whatever. I only keep $50 in my purse. And whatever is left of that, my husband keeps a same bottle, like what you said. And whatever change I have, I will put in there. But I try really hard not to keep cash on me because I know me. So I don't keep cash. I would use my debit card, but I keep $50 here or there. I might take it maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, $50. That's my limit. And whatever change I have, then I give it to my husband and he just stores it away. And he'll go to the bank or the credit union at the end of the month. And sometimes there's hundreds of dollars in 5 cents, 10 cents, dollars, quarters. Yeah. So to your point, it really is good. And I think that I remember my dad had this big rum bottle and he used to do the same thing. So yeah, have the big bottles and then they put the money in, it's got pounds and 50 pence and 20 pence in it. And that's really a good way to start. Yeah. And once you've got that money, then you put it in an account and then if you can invest it and it will take care of you from there.
Yeah, definitely. There's a book I was just thinking of as we were talking. It's called Profit First for Ethnic Minorities. It's actually a profit first book, but then they've done it so that it's more catered towards for ourselves, basically.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would highly recommend.
Check that out.
Profit First. And it talks about having seven bank accounts. And then you use that for your business and use it for your personal, and it helps you to juggle how you do things. And I found that really good.
Yeah.
And when I was telling my husband, this is how I was going to set up my business, and it's going to have all these different accounts, and this is an expense account, a tax account, and all this, he was like, what? And I was like, I don't like the confusion. This is clear to me. I'm from HR. We like structure and we like organization. And that was like ticking all the boxes. And it worked for me. I can literally tell you what's coming in, what's gone out. And it's just worked. But I would recommend that book, and that's where I'm going to bought this
nice.
up.
Oh wow, I've been doing that for a good few years now, and I haven't read that book, so that's good.
There you are. You're on track. I read it to know how I'm going to set this business up. Want to make sure I'm making the right steps, and that's the first start. I'm glad that I took that as the first starting point because I'm like doing things in the right way at the beginning.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely. And in addition to that, because we're talking about money, it just reminded me that one of my coaches, who is a seven-figure coach, multi-seven-figure coach, she mentioned something that it is interesting to me, is that she never spends her own money. Never spends her own money. So that is how the rich get rich, right? So never spend your money, never spend.
No.
If she wants to do something, so for example, I'm going to go, literally, is what she says. I feel like I'm just going to go on a yacht. It's cost 5,000 for the day. What I'll do then is I need 5,000. I need it today. And I don't want to spend my own money because that's not wise and that's not financial sense. I'm going to make that 5,000 today in order to spend that 5,000 today. And she went out and basically she said, she'll send it to her audience, just the people that are following her. What do you need right now that will help you? And they all came back, I need this. Okay, I'm going to create this little program. This is the link to it. She created a quick sales page and said, I'm going to deliver it in a week. And she basically got double that. I think she got about 5 to 10 grand and was able to go on her yacht. She didn't even have the product yet. And because of how she delivers now, she works and she was able to deliver it in the time. So I just believe that get all the strategies under the sun and make what works for you for now. And if it's small, before you know it, you're a multi-million. So like Julie, if you're already ahead of the game, I'm getting you back on here in 6 to 12 months and seeing exactly where you are, because you're definitely well on track.
Thank you.
Go on, no, this is your space. You're gonna say
no, go ahead.
I was just literally going back because I'm loving this conversation. It's so vital, especially for women of color, to really just get just the money mindset we need.
Yeah.
I know, because we said it before about TEDx, and you featured in TEDx, and I really, really want the audience to know what inspired you to go on there and even have the confidence to go on there. So we're changing it up a little bit.
Yes. So I did my first TEDx talk. I say first because I hope to do more.
Yeah.
But I did my first TEDx talk on April 1st this year in Austria. It was an amazing experience. I would highly recommend it. Why did I do it? Because I had a message that I think really needed to be spread. I think a lot of people have a very huge misconception about human resources, the function and the people in the function. And because of what we've been going through during the pandemic, we were already burned out before the pandemic. The pandemic caused a lot of us to burn out at a rate that we'd never burned out before. And then we had to come up with strategies coming out of the pandemic to keep moving work forward. So we were even more burned out. And then as we were doing that, we started going through things like the Great Resignation, and we started going through quiet quitting and quiet firing and now cushioning. And there's just all these different things that are happening that are always keeping HR on their toes. And with that being said, then I'd gone to my community and said, look, just tell me what's going on. How many of you are feeling burned out, frustrated in your careers? And it was like almost everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that I surveyed. And I started doing the research on burnout in human resources. And when I started doing the research in 2020, I couldn't find anything when you Googled it. Now there's tons of stuff, because more and more we have these conversations, the more and more we're seeing the data around human resources professionals being burned out and frustrated. But why is that the case? I really wanted to just highlight to people that what you expect of HR is almost impossible for us to give as a department of one. Servicing 300 to 500 people is just not practical. The function of itself has so much going on, and you can't expect one person to do all of those things. This is what is leading to our burnout. This is what burnout is looking like in us. This is my experience. These are my recommendations for you as leaders, and these are my recommendations for you as HR. And I wanted to share that message. And I actually was talking to one of my friends on LinkedIn one day, and she said she'd just given her first TEDx talk on biases and understanding why there's so much racial bias and unconscious bias in the workplace. And she said to me, what's one of the things that you'd really like to take off your bucket list? And I said, I'd love to give a TED talk. And she said, what would you talk about? And I told her, and she said, no, people definitely need to hear this message. And she said, I've been working with a coach who's been helping me to get my TED talk, and I highly recommend her. You need to go work with her. She introduced me to her, and the rest was history. Wow. And I ended up on the TEDx stage in April 1st, being able to share my story, my experience on, and how I believe that HR professionals are the first responders in our organizations, but they're the hidden first responders. And especially during the pandemic, I think we didn't get a lot of the credit that we deserved as first responders. And I really just wanted to share that with the world, to say, hey, as much as you've had a bad experience with someone in HR, all I can do is say, I'm sorry for that, but that's not all of us. We're not all like that. This is what's really happening in HR. And I really want people to start thinking a little bit differently about how they hire, support, and really encourage the people in this space, because what we do is hard, what we do is heavy, and we do it out of love, right? And we do it out of an appreciation for wanting people to have good experiences in the workplace. When I was finished that talk, I did get a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
There were so many people that came to me at the end of it just to say they'd never thought about HR this way before. They'd never considered that their HR teams were experiencing these things. And now I think it's been watched around the world by thousands of people. And I'm just grateful for that opportunity and that experience.
So we'll definitely put the link to your TEDx talk. I've listened to
Yes.
it. It's fantastic. And you, even the way you speak now, it's just, you've well spoken, and it just sings to our heart, because from a HR point of view, because when I'm listening to it, I'm listening as she's talking about me and others. So the outside view is very probably different, but for me, it sings to my heart because it's something that needed to be said. I looked after thousands, so it is burnout. It is exhausting. I cannot explain the personalities that it takes to be real, true, heart-centered HR professionals. We do it because we love people, not because we love to make sure the business is built, but we love people. That's why we go into HR, and that's the mission at the end of the day, is to make sure that we align that with the company's goals. So it can get really exhausting. You can burn out. So I agree, and I'm so glad that you shared that message. There was so much in that, what you've shared, but I want to get a bit personal now and just have something where we end. If you were to write yourself a letter, your future self, in say 5 years' time, what one thing would you say to elevate yourself? What would you say to give yourself the extra push?
That's a good question. What would I say to my future self to give the extra push? If you build it, they will come.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much.
I think that's what I would say.
It will come. If
you build it, they will come.
They will come. Yes. You build it, they will come. And it's so true. And what would you like to say about this episode for those who have skipped to the end just to see what the last bit is? What would you like to say to make sure they go back and listen to the whole episode? What are you doing? Why are you at the end without listening to the whole episode?
Are you at the end and you've not even listened to the beginning or the middle? Come on now, come back. Let's heal and come again.
You missed out on so much great stuff.
You really did. You need to go back and take a listen. You absolutely did.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you, Julie. You're incredible. And I know there was just so many nuggets that was in this episode, and I'd love to hear, those who are listening, I'd love to hear your feedback, because Julie's going to be able to see that too. And she's got such an amazing heart. Honestly, she really has. She's bursting at the heart. And we're going to hear your reviews, want to hear what you're thinking. And I'm excited for the next episode, which is coming out very soon. And it'll likely be next week. So those who are my dedicated followers so far, I am excited to see you then. So take care. And thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.